This ship came back 90 years after disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle. In 1925, a ship named the SS Cotopaxi left Charleston with 32 crew members on board. Their only cargo was coal, and their route was through the Bermuda Triangle. A few days later, a radio message came in from the SS Cotopaxi asking for help due to a terrible storm. And after that, they were never seen again. Until May 2015, nearly 90 years after the disappearance, the Cuban Coast Guard reported that they found the SS Cotopaxi drifting in the ocean, fully rusted, with no crew on board. Some people say that supernatural and extraterrestrial forces are at play, while scientists say that gas hydrates are the real culprits. However, till date, no one can really figure out how.
How many women did this man actually kill? In 1958, there were several disappearances of young women being reported, and at the center of it was this man named Tony Costa. In his daily life, Tony Costa seemed to be a charming man, but he had a split personality named Corey, and Corey had a thirst for blood. As it was spring break and party season, Tony lured women into a graveyard, promising them drugs and a good time. But as soon as they were in his trap, he would kill them and dismember them. As it was the 1960s, and there were so many teens coming in and out of Cape Cod, it took months before police officers took any of these disappearances seriously. Patricia Walsh, Mary Ann Wysocki, Susan Perry, and Sidney Mazzone were confirmed victims of Tony Costa, but investigators think that there are many more. So, this man traveled back in time. In 1996, an off-duty police officer named Frank was shopping with his wife on Bold Street in Liverpool. As she headed into Dylan's bookshop, Frank tried to cross the road to follow after her, but in his haste he was almost struck by a car. When he gathered his bearings and looked up, everything looked different. The bookshop Dylan's was gone, and in its place was a store called Cripps. As he went up and looked in the window, it was all women's clothing, but clothes that were very out of fashion. He looked around, but only to notice that everyone in and out of the shop dressed as if they were in the 40s or 50s. Suddenly, he noticed a young girl, dressed from the 90s, walking past him into the shop. He quickly chased after her, but when he got inside, it was no longer the clothing store, but Dylan's bookshop. Later that day, he recounted the event to his wife, and she replied that Cripps was a department store in the 40s and 50s. So, did Frank step into a time portal? And is it possible that the Mona Lisa is fake? On August 21st, 1911, a man dressed up as a worker at the world-famous gallery and stole the Mona Lisa in broad daylight. As paintings were regularly taken for maintenance, no one thought anything of it. And it was only 26 hours later that people started to realize the painting was gone. The painting was missing for a good 2 years, and authorities were under immense pressure to find it. However, one day out of the blue, a thief just came forward and confessed to everything, even giving up his two accomplices. Now, what was strange was, one of his accomplices was a known forger and was said to have made 6 indistinguishable forgeries of the Mona Lisa, leading many to think that the Mona Lisa that was recovered was a fake, and the whole story was fabricated by the authorities, who couldn't recover the painting. Many people speculate that the actual painting was sold to an oligarch's private collection, but till this day, people are wondering if did Russian scientists find a hyper-intelligent sea monster in Antarctica? In 1974, Russian scientists at the Vostok Research Outpost Station discovered that there was actually a subglacial lake 2 miles beneath them, but it was only 30 years later when they breached the ice. The first team of divers to explore the lake encountered a 33-foot-long, 14-tentacle squid that released a toxin into the water to immobilize 3 members of the expedition team, eventually killing them. And it was only after returning with backup that the scientists were able to cage the creature. However, upon return to the surface, the creature now dubbed Organism 46B was seized by the Russian officials, and the team was told to keep this quiet. Till this day, no one knows where Organism 46B is, but rumor has it the creature is currently being experimented on by the military in Russia, awaiting weaponization. So, did this man get stuck in the past? In 1995, Mike Markham set out to create a time machine. His idea was to use compact lasers to reduce the air pressure going in either pole direction. Mike was a recluse and worked tirelessly on his invention. On one occasion, he even caused a citywide blackout. However, it might have benefited him as he garnered some attention and received anonymous donations to help fund his invention. When asked about what he would bring if he could time travel, he simply replied, "My cell phone." However, in 1997, Mike and his work mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Soon afterwards, a news story was uncovered from the 1930s, claiming that an unrecognizable man was found crushed in a metal tube on a California beach, and the only thing found with the body was a cell phone from the 1990s. So, is 2053 going to be the end of the world? On October 22nd, 2022, a man by the name of Peter Reuter mysteriously appeared, claiming to be from the year 2062. He insisted that he needed to stop a woman named Mary Baker from getting on a plane to London, but claims he doesn't know her at all. When questioned further, he simply said that she will cause the spread of a new strain of the virus. The psychiatrist assigned to him, Dr. Knight, doesn't believe him, but gets taken aback when Peter discloses her personal information that nobody knows. Peter's warnings got eerily morbid as he says that if he doesn't stop Mary Baker, there will be nothing left by October 23rd, 2053. Even though you can check out the scripted audio series Case 63, starring Julianne Moore and Oscar Isaac on Spotify, many people still wonder if this man is a time traveler. And what happened in room 1046? In 1935, a man only going by the name of Roland T. Owen checked into room 1046 of the Hotel President. The staff who were on duty that day found it strange that he had no bags, no luggage, and came empty-handed. Strange encounters with this man will soon occur, as the hotel cleaning staff would walk into the room and find this man sitting in the dark, doing nothing at all. 3 days later, a bellhop entered the room, and to his shock he found Roland T. on the floor, covered in blood. Further examination would show that he had skull fractures and stab wounds. However, when questioned about who did this to him, he simply said, "Nobody." Shortly after that, Roland T. passed away. But then the funeral home gets an anonymous phone call from someone, putting up the money to cover the expenses of the funeral, and leaving a bouquet of flowers that read, "Love always, Louise." But till this day, no one knows. Was a real ghost caught on camera in room 209? In September 2003, at one of the Wingate hotels in Illinois, the staff started getting reports of screaming coming from room 209. At first, they thought it was a prank, as no one had checked into room 209 and it was supposed to be empty. However, more complaints came in, and eventually the manager named John went up to check on the room. Opening the door, all the furniture was seen overturned. The carpet had holes in it, and the shower was left on. This was the footage that was captured that day. If you look closely at the replay, you can see something exiting the room as John opens the door. So, what actually happened on the moon? In 2009, a photo was found on NASA's website where a photo of the moon crater was seen in the background. When enhanced, you can see that there are structures that look like a base of operations on it. Furthermore, Neil Armstrong has come forth and said that there were other things on the moon during the moon landing, as quoted by him. "These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. They are on the moon watching us." So, who else is on the moon? And